Hey, what's going on, fam? Back. See, here's the thing. We are now in the era of Trump 2.0. So today, what we're going to talk about and focus on is the first quarter, Trump. And Lord knows it's more than enough stuff to talk about. So we're going to dive into three particular areas that we think are very important in this first quarter, things that have hit us. For instance, one of the things we're going to talk about is the large number of executive orders that Trump has written. So far, I think just in the first quarter, we're over 100. So I'm going to talk about the executive orders as they relate to Project 2025. You know, so we're gonna get into that. Carl is going to talk about um, what's happening from the DEI perspective and all of the changes that have come about with that. And then Brandon's gonna, talk about international relations and how things have fallen apart between the US and our allies and foreign policy and stuff like that. So B, I think we're gonna start with international relations and
Okay.
how bad it seems to have gotten since Mr. Trump has come back
Our
into
favorite
office.
president. Well,
Oh,
first off, I'm gonna ask you how do you think our relationships are standing right now with just not full detailed answer, but how do you think we're looking in the
One word
eyes
answer?
of yeah,
horrible,
sure. I could take it one word.
horrible,
Horrible. What you wanna
bad.
do? Bad. Okay, okay. I would agree with that because I mean I don't want to bounce around the whole planet, but I will try to take a couple points that where I thought were pretty interesting and relevant to us because I know we get kind of caught up in the forefront of stuff like you see tariffs, you
Hmm.
see DEI, you see immigration at our border, but I think we kind of can slip back and forget, this is a whole world we're looking at. So,
And real quick, because I'm gonna jump in. One
hmm
of the things that I'm telling people, and I feel wholeheartedly about this, is I'm not traveling outside of the U.S. right now. And I think,
understandable.
I mean, because there are, we've got our enemies, of course, but we got our allies who are like, they looking at us, giving us a side eye now, because
Yeah, yeah, true.
people around the world are looking at the U.S. and saying, what the hell did y'all
hmm
do? But I digress. So go ahead.
Okay, and then I'll throw in a plot twist, which I recently discovered. So where we are doing kind of well, which is ironic, I will tell you who we have not imposed tariffs on, and maybe you guys can tell me why, and I can kind of give a jive back to why that hasn't happened. But North Korea, we have not imposed tariffs on North Korea.
What do we get from North Korea?
Yeah, that's number one on the list. We haven't tariffed Russia.
Well, you
Another
get it.
one, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cuba has not received tariffs either,
Mm.
nor Belarus. And I'm gonna give you a little statement from the White House why we haven't tariffed those four friendly nations of ours, and it is because they're not subject to the reciprocal tariff executive order because they're already facing high tariffs. That's from the desk of the White House.
So do we actually trade with them?
We do, but they already got high tariffs.
Again, what the hell are we? What are we trading with North Korea? What are we importing? Or
We
what?
well we do, and it's also like bringing the dollar into North Korea, and they do kind of devalue it. But again, that's not a reason. The real reason is you don't want to play with, you know, dictatorship
So
over
you
there.
can get a shaft to everybody else, even our allies. But these countries that you mentioned, they're not our allies.
But they're already being tariffed.
Okay, yeah.
So
And Belarus has a dictator? I'm not familiar with their governmental structure.
I'm not too familiar with their
'Cause we know
structure
North
either.
Korea, we know Russia, we
Yeah,
know
but I
Cuba.
think you're seeing a trend, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming Belarus kind of
Okay.
fits the bill. But they're like the White House said, they're facing high tariffs. But I will bring out a point about Cuba is we're dealing with our big ICE immigration issue. They're not getting tariffs, but they are getting our immigrants. So a lot of people that have been deported, they're not just going to one place. Cuba is also a hot spot for deportees as well. So they're not getting a tariff; they're just getting a bunch of returns, I guess you would say.
And I got something that's interesting about that too. As I talk about,
hmm
the executive orders and as they relate to Project 2025. But
hmm
so okay, in terms of international relations, then what has been some of the responses that we're getting, from these countries that, are our allies and hey, what's going on?
Well, I'll give you one example. So I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about in our audience, hopefully, the Houthi conflicts we're dealing with now.
Hmm.
You've got American freight shipping around that area being bombed and attacked consistently, whether it's drones, rockets, etc. So that's been going on since about 2023, and Trump has intervened and kind of said that's you can't do that. You can't mess with us. Now, the negative impact of that is, you're kind of delaying and extending out your shipping process because when you're rerouting these ships to avoid, getting attacked, you're adding 1 to 2 weeks to shipping. You're delaying products, you're messing with the supply chain, and you're also spending more money on fuel because you got to reroute these routes to safe routes.
So then when you talk about, I mean, the effect that it's had on the international community and the
Mhm.
relations that we have, one thing that I think about is our allies to the north and the south. So you got Canada and you got Mexico.
Yep.
And Trump has said that they're already in place. As we sit here, fam, the tariffs have started. So
Mhm.
what has been Canada's response and what's been Mexico's response?
Canada, I could just say trade war, and you can already tell that's not a good response. So you don't want a trade war. You're battling back tariffs and getting reciprocal tariffs to what we're essentially getting. Mexico, I think that's a little more complicated in the relations because I think Trump is kind of zeroed in on that because we all know there's a cartel problem down in Mexico, right?
He said cartel
He said a
problem.
problem.
So one of
little small issue.
so one of those executive orders, I don't know if you got this one on your list, but he's deemed some cartel organizations as actual terrorist entities.
Mhm.
So being that he's kind of
Which
zeroing
means
in,
nothing, by the way, but
yeah, it's something he could sign and make him look good. But a key thing I kind of realized in that Mexican relationship is one of the presidents down there, Nayib Bukele. He's kind of reformed their prison system, and he's created, I guess, what you could say, one of the world's best mega prisons, CCOT down there. And right now, it's housing a lot of Venezuelan gang members, MS-13 gang members. Long story short, the worst of the worst in Mexico are being housed down there. Now, where do we come into play? Again, we've got a big deportation thing going on. So Trump sees there's a mega prison down there, and we have an immigration issue. Where are you going to send these immigrants? Bukele has offered to say, hey, I'll take them. I'll house them. You pay us $6 million a year. This is our money going to Mexico, but they're taking our immigrants. So if you're caught by ICE or if you call the hotline, I know there's a hotline you can kind of report. You get picked up, sent to the worst of the worst prisons.
But see, and here's my issue with that
Hotline.
though, because you say the immigrants, it's nothing saying that these are criminals. I mean, I'm sure there are some criminals in
and
the
that's
bunch,
what
but
I
you
want to
just
bring.
That's why when you said there's a hotline to report immigrants.
that's okay.
But and I'm not sure. Quote, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a cash prize kind of incentivized
Oh,
in
I'm
that.
sure.
So,
Oh,
but yes,
I'm-
but what I'm getting at is, Canada, we're kind of looking at this trade war. We might engage in that in Mexico, but you also got to realize we've got this kind of pipeline for immigrants to this mega prison deal going on. So this kind of enhances that relationship, and it might kind of move the tariffs aside because they're getting money.
Well, and that's what I think it all boils down to, money. I mean, that old cliche, just follow the money. And in
Mhm.
most instances, that's true. So I think, for me, the way I'm trying to reconcile all of the stuff that's going on right
Mhm.
now is whatever Trump is doing, whatever policies he puts into play, in my opinion, that have a negative effect on the United States,
Oh yeah.
then guess what? The next administration, it's going to take them years to right that ship.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if people realize that because again, we see every day something is changing. And fam, I know y'all feel the same way. One of the things that I do is every morning I'm saying to myself, what now? So
Oh yeah.
every day something's changing. And at the end of the day, yeah, we agree that, maybe government should be smaller, but damn, the way that this man is going about, you know, supposedly making America great again, it's a crock.
I don't know what, and I definitely agree that government should be smaller, but I don't know what smaller government looks like. I don't know that slashing.
Because you've never seen it.
Right. Because I don't know that slashing 10,000 people from a particular department is going to make government smaller. You know what I'm saying?
Cuts the workforce,
It
but
cuts the workforce, but does it make government smaller? Because here's one of the things that I thought about, and this is in a Republican administration when 9/11 happened, and they created a whole new office of Homeland Security to make the CIA, FBI, DEA talk to one another. And I'm like, why are you creating another agency to bridge the agencies that already exist? That's not making smaller government. That's making more government.
Yep.
So now that I've created this agency, even if I take employees from the agency and cut, you know, thousands of jobs, does that make government smaller? Because you're still going to have money funneling into these agencies, even though it's not salary. I mean, you look at salaries, none of these people are making $10 million a year.
Mm-mm.
So is it
True.
really going to make a difference in my pocket?
I don't think
And
so.
that's the part though that I don't think, or let me rephrase that. That's the part I think a lot of people have problems with, Carl, is that they're starting to make all these changes and stuff, but what's the end result? I mean, you telling me on the front end it's gonna, make government smaller, it's gonna save money, but you are doing this at the peril of people and their livelihood.
People.
Well, have you saved money?
And I'm saying to myself, I would feel better if when all of this started, they said, okay, America, this is our plan. And show us point by point what you're going to do, what you would like to do, and what the end result is going to be. People are out there just not knowing. And my thing is, for the people that are still working now, how productive are you? Going to work every day like, well, damn, I don't know if I'm going to have a job.
Well, and if you do have a job, you're doing a job of 2, maybe 3 people.
Yeah, you got to replace your
Additional
15
stress.
coworkers that got
Right.
laid off.
'Cause
Additional stress. And you sitting there like, well, I'm doing a good job. Somebody come tap you on your shoulder. Guess what? Or you get the email.
Yeah, I
That's-
was like, what did you do last week?
And to both of your points. So we talk about tariffs, and you're saying people don't know what's going to happen. We do know what's going to happen in this sense. You're going to pay more for your goods.
Yep.
And that has been said by the administration. We're going to feel some pain for some time.
It's going
But
to just a little
short
bit.
It's
term.
going to short term. We don't know how short that term is. There's no time frame on this term. So you tell me things are going to get better for me in the long run. But as a government worker, I just lost my job, and I'm gonna have to pay more for everything I use.
On a reduced income.
So how are things going to get better for me? How are things going to get better for me if I still have a job? And I am paying more for the you come in and say you want to shrink government, and like we said, you're making these cuts, and there's no evidence that it's going to go back into my pocket. If you said I'm going to make all these governmental cuts and then it's going to offset the tariffs, and then everything will still be status quo, you might be able to sell that to some people.
Oh, and just looking
But
at
that's not the case.
you're talking
Yeah.
about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, with the crackpot Elon Musk, or as we call him, the co-president. And the cuts that they're making, they've got a website where they supposedly put numbers out there in terms of how much is being saved. None of those numbers have proven to be accurate. And at one point, they were talking billions. There is no evidence that you've saved us billions. And if you have, where's it at?
And how
Especially
do-
when
and-
you're just now making these cuts.
And again,
so
how
you're
do I see it?
projecting what the savings might be.
And how do I see it? How does it come down to me?
Because they're telling you.
But where do I see it?
Were we just talking about looking at our like portfolios and stuff, Carl, and it's
Yeah.
not looking so hot? So, I mean, but maybe it's just you take a dip right now, and I think you go back up in a couple months, Gene. I think that's what it is.
But nobody said a couple months.
I
Oh,
said short term. Just don't
well,
know.
that's what I implied.
if you
know.
gave me a
we don't know
time-
how long
Right.
short is.
Yeah.
Right.
Could be tomorrow. We could all wake up millionaires.
That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, we say these things because it's the truth. We don't know how much we're going to save. We don't know these cuts, how they're going to affect our pockets. Oh, you're going to and Trump always talks in vague terms. It's so beautiful. It's going to be
Grandiose.
great. It's going to be the most
Best
beautiful
ever.
thing greatest thing
use
you
your
ever
hands,
seen.
too.
This world is going to, and it's like, when?
Soon.
I need to know when.
Soon.
What is soon?
I don't know. You just said soon. You can't
Okay,
ask me.
look, we we discuss religious aspects on this show from time to time. The disciples thought Jesus was coming back soon. They thought he was coming back in
Jesus
their
is coming
lifetime.
soon.
They thought this was 2,000 years ago. They thought he was coming back like, I'll be back in like 30 days.
Yeah, what they say, Y2K, he was coming back. and-
After a few years, they said, you know what? I don't know if he gonna come back while I'm still living.
Eventually,
But he coming back.
Yeah.
And like you said, and we've been saying, so when you tell me it's gonna happen soon,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what soon is.
Mhm.
And as Gene just said, we can go into multiple administrations down from here, and we're still feeling the effects of this.
Oh yeah.
And people are still going because Trump's a cult leader. Well, it's gonna happen because he said it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but the cult is breaking. It's breaking.
Is it?
I
Well,
think
I hope
so.
it is.
Maybe
But
it'll
think so.
change in his third term.
Oh yeah. I didn't learn about that in history class
Well,
or social
yeah,
studies. I
yeah,
don't know
I
how
think
that
we skipped
dynamic works.
that day in civics, didn't we?
We all missed that. Oh,
well, you know,
because I thought it was 2 terms. Never mind. But
he makes it up as he goes along.
Little thing called the Constitution. It's just a piece of paper.
And it's ways that you have to change the Constitution, and it has to be some.
Yes.
But but hey,
did we not want
he's gonna figure out a way around that.
One of the asinine ways that I heard somebody say is that they're going to push J.D. Vance out there, and he's going to win and be the next president, and then he's going to hand the presidency back to Donald Trump.
Okay, so let me put this. So let me switch it up. Let me switch it up.
Go ahead.
If there's a third term that could be run, Barack Obama can run. Barack Obama can be elected president and then hand it to his running mate, Kamala Harris.
No, you can't do that.
What? Hey,
Because the
That's
Constitution
cheating.
says
That's cheating.
hey, if we
That's
if we want to
fake
play
news.
games,
That's fake
if we
news,
want to play
Carl.
games, we can play games because
Mm.
that's what I would do. You want to play that game? Hey, let's do it.
Nah, because then
Let's play big bank, take little bank, because that's what's gonna happen.
Nope, because the Hillary Clinton emails and all that, and nope, that's not gonna work.
I would get up there on inauguration day and say, United States,
and sleepy. what he
We
say?
did it.
Sleepy
We took
Joe.
it back.
Yeah.
and I'm done. Peace out.
there you
I
go.
It's a solution.
That's the solution.
Problem solved.
I mean, if you want to do that, so
Fair.
I want to talk about these executive orders,
Mhm.
Project 2025. So, last count, Trump has written over 100 executive orders. Now, when we talk about Project 2025, excuse me, we all know that was a 900 plus page blueprint that the
Mhm.
Republicans put together for the first, I think, 180 days of the Republican administration. Mind you, Trump on the campaign trail, I don't know nothing about Project 2025. What y'all talking about?
Never
No,
heard,
that's
never
not
heard
me.
of it.
And if you look at it, the authors of Project 2025 are people that served in the first Trump administration
No
and are
kidding.
currently serving in the second administration. So, as much as we tried to get information out to people about Project 2025, apparently not enough people listened because this is where we are. I think that one of the things that stuck out to me, he did an executive order talking about Trump about the Department of Education and advancing the school of choice. So basically, what he's doing ultimately is gutting the Department of Education, and the secretary is what's her name, Linda
McMahon.
Linda McMahon,
Mhm.
family, the wife of Vince McMahon in WWE. So she's a billionaire, no problem. If you remember, she was the secretary, or she had a title in the first administration,
She did.
small business or something like that. But
Mhm.
anyway, he has since basically told her, you need to gut the Department of Education. And ultimately, schools of choice is what they want. So what you'll be able to do is to take that federal money that you was getting,
Mhm.
private schools can get it now
Oh,
because it's school of choice. We can't afford to go to private school. Our kids can't afford to go to private school. But the kids that are in private school, guess what? They're getting federal money You know, one of the things that caught my attention too is they're talking about student loans, because ultimately what this is doing, if you gut the Department of Education, all of those services still have to take place.
Yep.
But guess what? Now this is going to be privatized. That's going to be
Mhm.
privatized. Who's running these companies that's privatizing? Trump.
Billionaires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going
So that's
with
where the
that.
money goes.
And
Like you
pushing
said, follow the money.
pushing
Oh.
the services back to the individual states, which I have a problem with. But also the big one that caught my attention was student loans. So now, you know, government, they service the loans, but that's going to go to SBA. Okay. And SBA handles the PPP loans and all that other stuff.
Small business.
I have a friend that works there, and she says they don't have the capacity
Mhm.
to service student loans, because you think about everything that goes into that. If you're handling one type of loan, you're just going to put these student loans on me. And we are, for those of us family that have and have had student loans, that's a monkey, you know. And then you have to imagine too, if federal student loans go away, you privatize it, you think you're gonna get 3% on that student loan?
Mm-mm.
You're
You
gonna
can't.
get what this bank over here say you get, what, 18?
And it could be, I was going to say, credit card rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like thinking 26, 27, but you know, not 3.
Nah. B, you were talking about immigration, which we know is a hot button.
Oh yeah.
And Trump ran on immigration and
Mhm.
all of the evils that are coming about with that.
The killers and the cats and the dogs.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Are you worried about, or y'all worried about this immigrant who came over that's working, that's paying taxes, or are you worried about your eggs costing $12 a dozen?
You know?
I'm gonna take the eggs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
And
that's fair.
but where I'm going with that is this clown has come and made immigration priority number one. Well, what the hell are we doing about the economy?
Don't worry about that.
And
We
that's
sending
just it.
people to
So
Mexico.
so immigration is the red herring.
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
worry
I'm gonna
about
distract
that.
y'all with this over here. I ain't said nothing about the kind. When he ran, what'd he say? Grocery prices gonna go down. He gonna make them go down.
Day one. He said day one.
Yeah. And we just finished the first quarter.
And he actually, during his Liberation Day speech, when he announced the tariffs,
And what was Liberation Day? That's what he said.
yeah, that's what he called it.
Mhm.
You know,
'Cause
like
we
the
are-
Gulf of America. You know, he just renames things.
Oh yeah, I gotta get my new map.
Yeah, you know. But he said, you know, egg prices are coming down, are down. They're back down. And I had just left the grocery store, so I'm trying to figure out.
You was check your receipt.
Maybe that's in
Which grocery store is
DC.
that?
Yeah, I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
not
you went
sure
to-
where
you went
that's
to the
where that's
wrong
happening.
one. Yeah.
But again, he just, you know, he says what he feels.
But I question that too. If you're talking about just a everyday grocery standpoint, if you put something at an all-time high price and it drops slightly, can you really call that the price is back down? If you go up 100%, then you drop 25%, you're still not saving money.
But that's what they do for Black Friday, Christmas time. You
Well, you can't-
60% off. Yeah, but you marked it up
But you-
200%.
But you can't do that at the grocery store, Eugene.
Why not?
They doing it now.
They do.
That's
right,
that's
why
the life
not?
we're living now. But I'm saying that's what he puts out. Eggs are coming back down. Are they really?
To as people put it, Sleepy Joe prices.
Oh yeah.
I
We should do a study on that.
I just think that, you know, one of the things we have to look at is the things that he's doing. First of all, the executive orders, as far as I know, they're not law. Okay? In order for something to be law, it has to go through what?
It has to be signed into
Congress,
be a
yeah.
law.
Right. So I'm saying to myself, a lot of these things that he's doing, of course, they're at the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about, Carl, when we get to DEI, how things have kind of trickled down. But going back to, you know, immigration and the military, because like, for instance, with the military, what he's done now is he signed an executive order that says that all these soldiers that got booted out because they wouldn't get vaccinated, y'all can come back now.
Mm-hmm.
Not only can you come back, I'm gonna give you back pay from the time you left. Any bonuses or anything that you could have gotten back then, you getting all that back. So whatever savings that Doge is talking about, okay, that's gone. Because even now in the corporate world, you know, I've heard corporations are doing that
Yeah, they are.
for people that have, you know, you ain't get vaccinated, so you can't work here no more.
Oh
Now
yeah,
you
yeah.
can come
People are
back.
suing previous jobs and everything for
And
that,
they're winning.
winning those cases
And they're winning.
consistently.
But here's the thing that gets me. That gives the air that, Trump was, anti-vax and all that. He was one of the first ones to get vaccinated. Him and what's her
But
name?
he was anti-vax
Okay.
as he got the vaccination.
So,
Because you were supposed to drink the bleach
Yeah.
with the horse tranquilizer.
oh, okay. And
Yeah,
then
that part. You
but
forgot.
the vax was for him. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Just
Okay.
make it up as you go along.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
Trump is
know
he's the
about him and
master of making
RFK.
it up as
Yeah,
he goes
you know
along.
him and RFK. You
And
know
see
how that goes.
another one since talking about military, banning transgender troops. And he did that under the guise of, well, we can't be readiness, efficiency for the military. And I'm gonna tell you, being or having been in the military, I don't care what you do when you out of uniform. But if we gonna get in this foxhole and you got my back, I'm good with it. And I think, even with that, there's a whole anti-discriminatory thing that comes about.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's fixated on transgender. Another executive order saying we only two sexes, only two, man and a woman. And if somebody has on a federal level, you got bathrooms, it's only men, women. You can't have this other bathroom.
No, they.
Get rid of that.
Them.
And I guess I'm answering my own question when I say a lot of this stuff has rolled down into everyday America. And initially you saying, well, like, why? But then you think about it. These companies have ties to the government. There are rules and regulations that may be passed that could benefit you.
Yep.
So,
You don't want to lose your government funding.
so with that, I'm DEI that's a hot button too. So Carl, what is your take on how he's essentially just gutted DEI initiatives?
So you kind of you started it out. Excellent setup with corporations having DEI initiatives, and so we have to. I want to first say this: diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what DEI stands for. It's not black.
It's not.
It's not.
Oh,
Diversity.
that's what they thought.
Diversity means, and shout out to us for covering topics like this earlier in season 1. We talked about corporate initiatives and how that works. So diversity means diverse thoughts. So you have black people, women, gay people. I don't know if the word we still use, handicapped people,
That counts.
veterans. All of those are under this protected class of diversity.
Real quick, you said the second one was women, right? You didn't say
Women.
black women.
No,
You said
women.
women.
That includes white women as
That
well.
includes
Thank you.
white women. And it's to backtrack, so did affirmative action.
No kidding.
That didn't mean black either.
I thought that was just for black people.
And I know you did, because that's what Trump told you.
Oh,
Clarence Thomas did too.
Clarence Thomas did too.
okay.
So-
we were misled.
So the equity part means all of those diverse groups have an equal share within the say of how a company is run. The inclusion part is we want to include those people so that we have a diverse thought pattern so we can make decisions that affect everybody, not just straight white males who have, I mean, just come on. They've run this country since its inception. So when people say, well, he's dismantling DEI. So you start at a federal level.
Mhm.
And then for those businesses who are doing business with the government, say, well, if the government says they don't have to do it, we don't either. Because, again, as we talked about, a lot of it is show. A lot of it, you bring people in for this diversion of thought, but you still got the straight white male making the decision. So they say, well, we don't have to do that anymore. We can just make the decisions and we don't have to include any of you people because the government says we don't have to.
You people.
You people.
Yeah.
And
Sounds a
that's
little-
women
little
included, and really
discriminative
women
to
leading
me.
the way. So one of the things that I would see is, or would hear from different black people would say, well, that didn't benefit us anyway. It doesn't make a difference because women, particularly white women, were the biggest recipients of
Yeah, I
these
heard about
DEI
that.
initiatives.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And for those black people who are defending Trump will say, and that's not racist. Okay. So if that's your point of view, I want to know, well, why did black soldiers be taken down from Department of Defense's website that had been honored?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm
Ding,
gonna
ding,
jump in real
ding.
quick, but
No.
here is the thought behind that, fam. This is Arlington National Cemetery in DC, which is national cemetery, and soldiers are buried there. A bunch of dignitaries. On their website, they have removed information about Thurgood Marshall,
Mhm.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Mhm.
anybody that they consider a part of DEI, because this is from the president with this executive order. You know, at just recently, the Pentagon removed Jackie Robinson,
Mhm.
but there was such an outcry from that, they had to go back and say, oh, it was just a mistake.
Mhm.
So I say to
Ooh.
myself, when we
Oops.
talk about, which we've talked about before, how, you know, they try to whitewash Black history.
Mhm.
Black history is history.
Mhm.
So you taking it off a website or not, promoting the book, doesn't matter. It's still there. It doesn't go away.
True.
And Carl, talking about the corporations with DEI, Target,
Mhm.
fam, we did the boycott with Target. And I just want to put a little context on that. And I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, Carl, but back around the George Floyd area, 2021, 2022, Target came up with the idea, you know what, we're going to pledge $2 billion.
Yeah, it was in 2020, and
Okay.
it was supposed to have been done by the end of 2023.
So what they did,
2024,
they said,
excuse me.
we pledging $2 billion to Black businesses. Soon as Trump came in, took DEI, get away. Target took it off the table.
Mhm.
That is what prompted us, or one of the reasons that prompted us to boycott
Mm.
Target. And to date, Target's their stock has plummeted to the tune of their market value has decreased by over $12 billion.
Mhm.
Thank you to all the people that have boycotted Target.
And I think that we need to really take that in because again, I'm hearing from, and it's not just me hearing from people, but stats have been proven have proven it out. So let me just go over a couple of things. One thing that the government put out, saying that dismantling DEI efforts is a design to forge a colorblind society. So again, you're using DEI as Black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's been talk about the second largest African American museum in the country is here in Detroit, where we reside. The largest now is the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. There's been some talk by Trump to restrict funding to that museum because it comes under the influence of a divisive, race centered ideology. Those are the words from the government.
Ooh.
So, again, to your point, Eugene, you say Black history is history. This is a historical building. It is what it is. But I think that Black people, Black men in particular, um, are complicit in this because, and this is, you know, 66%. This comes from the Hit Strategies, which is a think tank that does a lot of statistical data. 66% of Black men totally agree that racism exists, but doesn't prevent opportunities.
Say 66.
Yeah. So 66% say, yeah, racism is there, but it doesn't prevent opportunities. We can still
Shout out to
We can
your
still
great
start.
grandma.
Where they
So
find these niggas at?
so wait a minute. So both of your
Shout out to
points.
your granddad.
Both of your points. So I'm looking at this like, and I've talked to people that believe this as well. But then I look at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. The head of it was black.
Mhm.
Black
Okay.
man. He was fired. Trump appointed himself to be the head of the board of directors. And then he brought in his own people, all white. Well, except for J.D. Vance's wife. And I think that they count her as white.
Yeah, I think
because
she's
if he's questioning Kamala's blackness and she's white and I mean black and Indian, then J.D. Vance's wife has got to be white, even though she's Indian too, in that train of thought.
Mm.
So
I would agree.
Real quick though, with the Kennedy Center, in response to that, there have been a lot of people that have canceled
cancel their
events.
performances
Okay,
and
there you go.
events
Just want to
Mhm.
make sure.
as in protest.
Mhm.
But he's going to fill that roster with people who are sympathetic to him.
Kid Rock?
And I'm sure Kid Rock will get some type of medal. He might be get a Medal of Freedom at this point,
American hero.
Yeah, he's. But I see this as black men being complicit. So when you say talk to your grandpa, and then when you say what type of Negroes are these, and I know
I
you
ain't say
said, I know you
Negroes.
said, and to be honest, I've been saying that word all week in reference to this, and I said I promised my mother that I wouldn't say it on air, so I'm trying to choke it back.
Do it for mom. Do it for mom.
But what I will say is, I think these black men are in their soft girl era. And by that, they don't have any reference to the older generation. They blame everything on the Democratic Party and take no accountability for their own actions or inactions
Or-
and how all of this came about. So no matter
Hmm.
how much bass they put in their voice, no matter how much chest thumping they do, this is what I hear. I'm a person, and I just the Democrats don't listen to what I say, and I'm just so tired of fighting. I'm so tired of fighting. I just want someone to take care of me and look out for my needs, and I'm a voice in this world, and I have to be heard. And Donald, he's so strong. And he's just so, I like a roughneck. And that's what he is to me. And
Roughneck.
I just, everything Donald says, he's going to do it. And I
Tough
just want,
it.
and it's when Donald and the Democrats, and they never paid attention to me. And Donald is just so attentive. That's what I hear from these boot-licking coons, no matter what they say. They sat up there and let that black man down in Florida call him daddy, and I ain't heard none of them say nothing about it. Who do you know? Grow some balls. And it used to be that way back in the talk,
Mhm.
like you said, talk to men who have lived through and I think my age group is one of the last people who were around people who actually were living in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on.
Amen.
You got a lot of these young people who are listening to their peers or Unc. And Unc don't know what he talking about. Unc ain't never read a book.
Oh God.
Unc he don't understand so you listen to these people and people that are on Instagram and all this kind of, these posts. I get Instagram posts every day from a Trump supporter. None of them are from any academics. None of them
No
are from
scholars?
any scholars.
The School of Hard Knocks.
Yup,
None
that
of
don't count
them
as a-
are from our elders. They're all from people who are bootlickers and don't know what they're talking about. And when I say, show me a scholar, give me somebody who's actually done the research. Give me somebody who's written books or teaches classes at the university level on economics and government and policy. No, you send me stuff from Unc on the block. So I don't want to hear that.
They can never come with articulate
Never.
facts that are based on research and based on, to your point, academics. I want to hop on the dismantling of what they call CRT, critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
They've made that black.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
not a black thing.
well, here's the thing. I did my research because I did not want to misspeak. And basically, critical race theory is described as a framework that examines how race and racism are embedded in laws, policies, and institutions.
Mm.
Basically, racism is not just an individual prejudice, but a systematic issue.
Mhm.
So, Carl, to your point,
Oh.
racism has been there. In my opinion, it's always going to be there because until you break that system, it's going to continue. And Trump did an executive order, and what he did was he used the Civil Rights Act to remove what they call gender ideology, critical race theory from schools and eliminating federal funding from K
Mhm.
through 12 schools.
Mhm.
So now, if you do anything remotely resembling critical race theory, sorry. And it's interesting because I'm not sure, because they throw the word out so much, that not even the Republicans or a lot of people that speak on it, especially white people, know what it is.
They don't.
So they what they're doing is they are going along with what they've heard. All they know is critical race theory equals black, and it's no good.
Critical race theory, DEI, affirmative action, all
Yeah.
black.
Well, let me and thank you for your monologue of the typical supporter. I was I got to give a round of applause for that. But
Hey.
again, I think all that starts back to when our co-chair president Elon Musk, that whole initiative started with DEI must die, right? And that was a very extreme to take to look at it, right?
From an immigrant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He's from. Whoa, good point. But we could dive into that location as well. But again, like you're saying, dismantling this stuff, it's not really looking into what it is. I think it's more so just taking, like, a lot of this stuff is DEI must die. Kill it, break it down, dismantle it. So it can be whoever is at the top. Now, a lot of these people that are screaming DEI must die it's
You're at the top.
no, it's Jethro and them, in the camps back there.
Okay.
But
And Jethro and them. Because Jethro and them idolize the ones at the top.
Mhm.
and this is where I see that big irony coming in, because they were sold the whatever bill of goods, groceries are coming down, you're gonna keep your benefits gonna get better, and now those same people are crying, you cutting the Social Security, you doing this, where's my benefits gonna? I wish I could take my vote back.
I don't even
care.
think that's the case. I mean, they do say,
Mhm.
well, they are kind of, some of them are regretful.
Yeah, some of them.
I don't think they were
Buyer's
sold
remorse.
a bill of goods. I think that it is all a backlash of 200 years of having a straight white man in charge and someone to look up to up until 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed who you quote unquote look up to. Even though people don't understand that the president of the United States is a job that you are hired to do by the people.
Mhm.
They look at the president of the United States as their king, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he's not, or she's not.
Well, you should look
They
into
are
the
not.
basics of how this country is
I
founded.
hired you
Yeah.
to do this job. And if you don't do this job for the people, then you can be fired.
That being the key word, for the people, not just for this group, not just for that group.
Well, that's how this nation started.
Well, but see, I
We
think
didn't want a monarchy.
that's one of the ways that we can succeed, is to be more inclusive.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a
I
melting pot.
imagine, because quite honestly, when you see us and different races, and because Trump has proved to be so divisive, I'm pretty sure that some white people have the same feeling about us that we have about them. If I see a white person out and they do something nice, I had a guy a couple of weeks ago. I was buying lunch and I didn't have my debit card. I had cash. They didn't take cash. Guy behind me, hey man, I got that for you. Turn around, it's a white guy. Wait a minute. Am I being punked? You know,
You look for the cameras.
and I say that because, you know, Trump has been so divisive.
Mhm.
That's how we're looking at each other
That
now.
is.
We're
That's
not
true.
looking at each other as individuals. We're just looking at you, the enemy.
You're doing something, because I had a interaction yesterday and had a nice little conversation with a white guy. And again, I'm thinking to myself, is he trying to like make up for what's going on? I mean, you've
Not the remorse.
right. It's like
I'm so
why would I
sorry.
do that? You know, because you don't look and when I say white people are X, Y, and Z, I'm really and I try to say this: white supremacists. And this white
Thank you,
supremacists
yeah.
who are in charge of making these decisions to roll back, you know, DEI and all this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Regular people that you interact with daily on a everyday basis,
Yeah.
there's no malice between, you know.
Oh, no,
You know,
no.
I can love you, I can not like you. It don't make a difference what color you are.
Mhm.
But when people are you know, beholden to an idea
MAGA.
of white supremacy. Even black people that are
Yeah.
ardent Trump supporters admire white supremacy. They do. Because you can't tell me one thing that Trump has done in this during all of this frenzy that he's gone through that has been toward a black agenda.
Which is
Negatively
why,
or positively?
but we still on a
Toward,
search.
positively.
We
Oh.
still on a search to get
Okay, I can answer
a
positive.
Trump supporter here on the show. I would love, fam. Y'all know a black Trump supporter.
Trump supporters will always go,
Hey.
they will point at the Democrats. All they can do is say, what they really are is people that, and again, shout out to us, talking about this early on.
Mhm.
If you don't like the Democratic Party, no problem.
Vote.
I don't have a problem with that. If you are a black Republican, I have no problem with that. We're talking about this guy. Because if you're truly a black Republican, you are for smaller government. You are for
Definitely.
more
Yeah.
conservative and family
Exactly.
values. You're for those things.
Mhm.
I am too.
And you know what amazes me is you have different sects of Republicans. You'll have a sect over here that they're ardent Trump supporters, but then you have a
They're
sect over
racist.
here, the real Republicans who will say
Wait a minute.
they will stand on Republican values and they will, in most cases, denounce what Trump is doing. Because they're saying these aren't Republican values that he's out here spouting.
But did they vote Republican because they're Republican? That's the question I have.
Well, and that's what separates the different classes of Republicans, because a true Republican, they know what Republican values are.
Yeah.
You know, versus people that are following this cult leader. You know, because
Agreed.
again, when you ask, and I'm just gonna say this, when you ask the
Do it.
lower middle class white folks that are Trump supporters about, Carl, to your point, agendas, they can't. What they do is they repeat what they've heard him say
Not even stuff they've heard him say necessarily.
No.
Stuff they made up.
Yeah.
or
Stuff they've heard other people say.
on the
Just-
internet.
That's right.
Sleepy Joe did it. I think that's what you.
And that's what I keep hearing.
That's
It's
the
like
biggest thing.
it's I don't, and here, okay, we've all been in relationships and we've broken up with the person in that relationship.
Mhm.
You've moved on to a new relationship. Do you start talking about that previous person in your new relationship every day,
Not if you want to get cut,
all day?
which is what he does. And
But
he
you can
blames,
do that in politics.
But
though.
he
I
blames
him
believe
for
you
But
can.
everything.
I think that
Why?
is a
You can't
different
do that in
rule.
politics. When a new mayor, new governor, whatever, they get into office, even a new president, prior to, they don't talk about what the other one did
all the time.
all the time.
But I think
Yep.
you can do that because, like I was saying with the Houthi airstrikes, who did he blame about that? He said Joe Biden didn't do nothing about the Houthi, so now I got to do
Why do
something.
you have to just say, this is what I'm doing?
Mhm.
Nope, it doesn't
Because
work
even if
that
you look
way.
at the jobs market,
Mhm.
and Joe Biden created more jobs than any other president. Okay, so you have to imagine that the new administration is going to feel residual effects from the previous administration.
Yeah.
So I think in January there were 100,000 plus jobs created. Okay, that's residual from the Biden administration. This past month, 200 plus thousand.
Like
Again,
280,000.
residual from the Biden administration. But you know what? He ain't gonna give him credit for that. That's what he did. What the hell did you do in 2 months to create all these jobs.
Even if you don't give him credit, don't say his name.
Yeah. Because if nothing else, you should want to push your own agenda.
Absolutely.
Because it shows that this is what I'm going to do, not what he did. Because even when you look at, I mean, all of these executive orders, the one with FEMA, okay? The executive order is called assessing FEMA and basically what they do. But what they're going to do is dismantle FEMA and push all of that, all of the work that FEMA does, they're pushing it to the states. And then in addition to that, they're gonna say, okay, you know, we'll give y'all a little money to handle these disasters and stuff. But there you go.
So tornadoes in Alabama, Mississippi, they're gonna have to some of the poorest states in the country.
Exactly.
They're gonna have
And
to figure
then
it out on their own.
whatever supplement that you give them, who the hell knows how much that's gonna be? And it just amazes me that people are sitting, especially people in these local governments, you know, your governors and whatnot. Dude, that's more stress on me.
And here's
Call the
what
Red
people don't
Cross.
recognize too. So you hear all this stuff, and some of his, his supporters will say, that's great, smaller government, and we need to push this to the states and so on and so forth. But you're still paying federal taxes. So what do my tax dollars go toward?
Yep.
I'm dismantling entire departments. I'm saving all of this money. We're cutting these jobs, but I'm still paying the same federal taxes. So what does that money go toward?
And since things have been pushed to the states, guess what? Your state tax is gonna go up.
Yeah.
But my federal don't go down.
No. So now you
I'm
paying what you was
more.
paying before, but you're paying more on the state level. So basically, I'm getting taxed
And then
twice
but
for
you're
the
gonna
same
sit
services.
there. You're gonna sit there, Jethro, and say it's gonna get better.
Well, that's what he said.
Because he said
That's what he
it's
said.
gonna get better.
It's gonna hurt for a little bit.
That's what Jim Jones said too, right before they drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh man.
And fam, we're not talking about the rapper Jim Jones, so y'all got to do
not Dipset.
Yeah, we got to do a little research. Jim Jones, cult leader, back in the 80s. Yeah, had a bunch of people drank Kool-Aid, they died.
They
So,
got
That
and
didn't
look,
work well.
And if they have the audio out there too, you can hear. He said, "Hey, don't cry, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." Right before almost 1,000 people died.
Yep,
it's gonna be fine, and they did it. And it's like, and we say it's
They
a tragedy.
believed in him.
We say it's a tragedy, but
They believed in him.
They
though.
believed in him.
They were sold.
So this is the same thing.
Yeah, and just the idiocy that comes out of the Trump administration 2.0. One last executive order that I saw, and I thought it was like just the stupidest thing ever. And we talked about this privately one time. Iron Dome. Okay.
Oh.
So the Iron Dome, fam, is a missile defense system that Israel currently has. And the United States helped them to develop it. So basically what it is, if you can imagine, somebody shoots a missile, then you have a system that detects the missile and determines where it might land at, and then you decide whether or not you're going to intercept it and shoot it down. Okay. So keeping in mind, right now with Israel and Gaza, the whole nine, the Iron Dome for Israel is running at like a 90% rate. So they shooting them down. Boom, boom, boom. The United States new president decided, I want that. I want it for the United States. Okay. And he has instructed the Department of Defense, spare no, whatever money you want to spend, spare no expense. There is no budget. You can pay whatever. I want it done, and I want you to fast track it. Now, Israel is approximately 8,630 square miles. So it stands to reason. It's relatively small. You can handle that. United States,
America.
comparatively, 3,809,525 square miles. So you tell me, how's that going to work? First of all, the missile defense system is designed to shoot down like 1, 2 at a time. So if somebody's sending a whole bunch of missiles at you, how you going to shoot them down?
Yeah, what if you hit Alaska and Florida?
Well, and then the United States is too big.
Yeah.
But this man has said, hey, I want it done, fast track it. Don't worry about how much it costs.
Sounds good to Jethro, though. Okay, and here's the other part. Who's attacking us and why?
But And that makes matters worse. With the dome, we already got tensions in the Middle East. Right now, we're airstriking the Middle East. You're provoking this attack to come back to us. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind North Korea. They're testing and trying to see what they can do with new nuclear weapons.
So-
So that's all hearsay. But again, we have this dome. We piss off North Korea.
So you're gonna spend money. Oh, so what? I guess the money that they're spending on that is gonna come from all the savings
Yeah.
that we getting.
They
So
said they was
gon-
gonna
they
drain
gonna
the swamp to
allocate and
build
they
the
gonna
dome.
move and make the defense budget this big.
And how long is
And
that going to take?
Social Security is going. Yeah,
That's going to happen soon too.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
soon.
got to be because
That's
we
gonna
get hit with a
happen
precision
around the
airstrike.
same time that they finish building all these manufacturing plants in the United States.
Oh, yeah,
So
Yeah,
the
to bring
tariffs,
all the
yeah.
jobs back
Well,
exactly.
for the people who I'm gonna be unemployed for the next, I don't know, 3-4 years.
Sure, it's gonna hurt for a minute.
I'm gonna be, but in that
But-
fourth year, I'm gonna go from making nothing to
65 grand.
there you go,
And then JD Vance gonna be the president
60 right,
with the
65
Iron Dome.
65 grand with higher taxes.
Oh, so you
gotta
talking
pay all
after-
your bills.
So you talking about?
Eggs are still $40 a carton,
So you really take home like 30, 29, but
but the jobs are back.
we got good jobs. I could look forward to that, America.
See, you know what? Fam, what we gonna do is we gonna tell y'all, look, do what you want to do, but at the same time, people with sense can recognize that right now it's a train wreck, and with us being three men of deeply religious faith, we know that, yeah, it's gonna get better, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go and, build a bomb shelter and all this other stuff. Hey, do what works for you. This is a conversation that we know can extend. And we're going to have another show on this because this man is doing so much stupid-ish. We're going to have to cover it, So we thank you guys for being here. Again, follow us. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart. Like the episode, subscribe to the channel, share it by all means. And as always, we tell you guys, stay prayerful, stay patient, stay positive, stay patient. Stay peaceful. See you guys next time.